Welcome back to the Crochet Bakery. In this video I'll show you step by step how to make the pumpkin spice baby blanket. It's perfect for fall. It's worked in sections of single crochet and herringbone crochet with a half double crochet border. I'll show you how to make a 36 by 36 inch blanket, but of course you can make it any dimensions, just change the measurements. This is a beginner friendly / intermediate pattern, so let's get started. You're gonna need 2 to 3 different colors of burlap blanket yarn, and I'll put the colors that I used in the description. Scissors, a 9mm crochet hook and an 8mm crochet hook, measuring tape, and stitch markers if you need them. Okay, so for row 1 you're going to be using your 8mm hook. You're going to make a slip knot, and then you're going to chain 73 plus 1, and this should be about 36 inches. If your chain ends up not being exactly 36 inches, it should be okay, but you can add or subtract chains to make it 36 inches. This is just what worked for me in my tension, and after you get 73 chains plus 1, we'll catch back up. So once you have your 73 chains plus 1, you can measure it and make sure it's 36 inches. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just like about 36. Mine ended up being like 37, which was fine. Next, you will do 1 single crochet in the second chain from the hook. So count 1 and then 2 from the hook, and then you're going to do a single crochet in there. And then right here is where you can add your stitch marker if you need it. And then you can continue the rest of the row. You'll do 1 single crochet in each chain until the end of the chain. So again, for row 1, you will do 1 single crochet in each chain until you reach the end of the chain. Using thicker yarn, it's a little bit hard to see each chain and where you should insert your hook, but here's a little bit of a close-up of how I can tell where each chain ends and begins. So this is 1 chain, and then right next to the single crochet that you just made, there'll be another little loop, and that's where you'll insert your hook. And you can use your fingers to like feel around and make sure you're putting it in the right loop, but it just takes a little bit of practice. You can go slow too, you don't have to rush. Especially this first row was probably the hardest one because there's not those set stitches, but with practice it gets way better and way easier. Once I reach the end of the row, I like tightening up the slip knot end just to make sure it's nice and secure. And at the end of this row, you should have 73 single crochets. After you finish row 1, you'll chain 1 and turn. So for rows 2 all the way to row 12, you're going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch until the end of the row. At the end of the row, you'll chain 1 and turn. So after row 1, you can easily see the top of the stitches, and that's where you will insert your hook and do 1 single crochet all the way to the end of the rows. So once you finish up row 2, this is what it should look like. And this should be your final stitch of the row. That's why stitch markers are helpful for this, especially because the yarn is so thick. But once you reach the end of the row, you'll chain 1 and turn, and you will do this all the way until row 12. So you will have a total of 12 single crochet rows. And if you have a little bit of trouble remembering where the first stitch of each row is, I would highly recommend using stitch markers and moving them up as you go each row. So again, you will continue this pattern until you reach 12 total rows. And this is kind of what it should look like. I kind of messed up when I was filming this. It's not supposed to be 5 inches, it should be 7. So yeah, ignore what I just measured here and make sure it's 7 inches of single crochet. So 7 inches of single crochet should be about 12 rows. Now once you're done with your 7 inches of single crochet or 12 rows, you will fasten off this color. So there's 2 different ways that I'm going to show you on how to fasten off / change colors in this project. This first way I'm showing you how to attach yarn is just fastening off that primary color yarn, and then right on top of the last stitch you made, you will make a knot with your secondary color yarn, and that's how you attach it. The second way that I'll show you later on is instead of fastening off that primary color, you will complete your last stitch with that secondary color. And it's a little confusing to explain, so I'll show you more in depth of what I'm talking about later on. So this first way I showed you was just fastening off the primary color and then just attaching the secondary color with the knot. This is method 2 of attaching new colored yarn for the new section. Instead of finishing off that last stitch with that same yarn, you're going to get your next colored yarn, put it over your hook, and finish off that last stitch with that new yarn. And hopefully you can see what I just explained on the video. And you'll continue your rows as usual after attaching your yarn. After attaching your yarn, you're going to get your 9mm hook and start row 13 for the front facing side herringbone crochet stitch. If you attached your new yarn with the first method, you will first bring up a loop, so insert your hook and bring up a loop first, and then chain 1 and then single crochet into the first stitch. If you did the second method, you don't have to worry about bringing up a loop, just chain 1 and then do single crochet in that first stitch. And you can insert your stitch marker there if you need to. After you finish your single crochet, you'll see 2 posts. So in that leftmost post, you will insert your hook, and then into that next stitch on the row, you'll insert your hook, and then you'll yarn over, pull through the stitch, and you'll have 3 loops on your hook. Then you will yarn over and then pull through all 3 loops on your hook. That is your first forward facing herringbone crochet stitch. And you can see there's 2 stitches now that you've completed. So again, the next stitch, in that stitch you just completed, there's going to be a leftmost post that you will insert your hook into, and then insert your hook into the next stitch, pull through your yarn, you'll have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops, and that's your third stitch of the row. And I'll show you again how I make a front facing herringbone crochet stitch. So insert your hook into that leftmost post, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, you'll have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, and then pull through all 3 loops on your hook. And you're going to continue this pattern all the way until the end of the 13th row. And this is what it should look like so far. So your very last stitch, I'll show you again how I do it. Insert your hook into the leftmost post, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, and then yarn over again, pull through all three loops. And this is what row 13 should look like. And then for row 14, you will chain 1 and then turn your work. Now we will do the back side of the herringbone crochet. So this is kind of similar to the front side, except you're going to be working backwards. So from back to front. So now you're going to do single crochet backwards. So insert your hook from the back of your project to the front of your project. And then same thing, you'll yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over, pull through, and you can insert your stitch marker if you need it. And it feels kind of weird, but this is what it should look like. You're gonna see the leftmost post again. That's where you'll insert your hook into there. And then again, you'll insert your hook from the back side of your project to the front side of your project into the next stitch. It's kind of hard to see this way, so you can move the working yarn out of the way if you need to. So there, you'll insert your hook into that next stitch, yarn over, pull through, and then again you'll have 3 loops on your hook, and then you'll yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. And I'll show you again how I do the back side of the herringbone crochet. Insert your hook into the leftmost post of your last stitch, insert your hook into the next stitch, and again this is all from the back to the front, and then you'll yarn over, pull up a loop, you'll have 3 loops, and then yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. And you're gonna repeat this backside herringbone crochet stitch all the way down the 14th row, and this is what the front will look like. You can see a little V forming, but yeah, continue this pattern all the way down the row. This is what the front side should look like. You'll see little V's forming, and then you're going to continue this all the way to the end. Once you complete the 14th row, you'll turn your work, and this is what it should look like. You'll see those little V's forming from the front side crochet and then the back side herringbone crochet. And this is what the back will look like. You can see little bumps on the rows, and this is the front again. So now that we're on the front side again, we will do that same front side herringbone crochet pattern. So again, instead of inserting a hook from the back to the front, you'll do from the front to the back for the front side herringbone crochet. So for rows 15 through 23, you'll alternate between front side herringbone crochet and then back side herringbone crochet until you reach 7 inches. So once you're done with your herringbone section, you can measure it and make sure it's about 7 inches. Now that you're done with your next section, you will change colors. So originally I was gonna do just a basic AB pattern, but it looked like I was running out of that white-ish colored yarn, so I decided to do my 3rd color in the middle. So now I will attach my 3rd color after this herringbone section. So this time I will attach my yarn using the second method. So right here, instead of completing the herringbone crochet with the orange yarn, I will get the tan yarn and complete it. Also, now that you're on your next section, this is going to be a single crochet section. Make sure you're using your 8mm hook. So for rows 24 to 35, you will chain 1, turn, and then single crochet all the way down your row. You'll do 1 single crochet for each stitch. Make sure you're switching hooks for each section. So for single crochet it will be 8mm, and then for herringbone crochet, the back side and the front side, you will be using 9mm hook. So after you switch stitches for 5 different sections, this is what you should have. This is what it should look like. Single crochet, herringbone crochet, single crochet, herringbone crochet, single crochet. Then the final step after you finish your last section is a half double crochet border around the whole project. So at your last section, fasten off and tighten, and then here is where you will attach your 3rd color yarn to make a half double crochet border. So this is the color I chose. I chose that 3rd color, or that middle color, to use all the way around. It looked like I wasn't gonna be able to finish it. Oh my gosh, don't look at my nails. It looked like I wasn't gonna be able to finish it because I didn't have that much yarn left, but luckily the yarn gods pulled through and I was able to finish the border using this yarn. So now you're going to attach the yarn to any corner that you choose. I chose this corner. It was just random, but I chose this corner. You're going to insert your hook into that stitch, and then you're going to pull through that yarn. So after you pull that yarn through, you will chain 2, and this counts as your first half double crochet. Also, if you want to, you can weave that end in, or you can save it till the end. That's what I did. Now you will do 1 half double crochet in that same stitch where you chained 2. And again, that chain 2 counts as your first half double crochet, so that's where you can insert your stitch marker. Now you're going to do 1 half double crochet in each stitch until you reach the next corner. So in this last stitch of this row, you're going to do 2 half double crochets in that same stitch. Now turn your work a little bit and you're going to work on the side edge of your project. For the long side, so like the row sides, you're going to do about 1 stitch per row, and I'll show you how to get a more clean look for this because it's a little bit hard to know where to put your stitches, but I'll show you in a little bit. So as you can see here, doing 2 half double crochets on this side, it gives you a more rounded look, but of course you can customize it, and if you want a more squared look, you can do 2 half double crochets on each side. So 2 here and then 2 here. So this is what your edge should look like. This is about 1 half double crochet in each row on this edge, and I'll show you real quick how I get it straight like that. So try to insert your hook in the same spot for each row. So instead of just getting 1 strand of yarn, try to get a couple just so it's like more clean, and you can see a little bit of how I'm doing it. I try to close up a little bit so hopefully you can see. And when you reach ends that you can weave in, you can weave in as you go, so you can crochet around those ends so that way you don't have to weave them in at the end. And this is what this side should look like, so it looks pretty even. It took me a little bit of trial and error, so if you need to frog and start over on this row, you can. Now you reach the end, you're gonna do this side again. So this one you're gonna have clear stitches to go to, so it should be a little easier. So you're gonna turn your work a little bit, and then you're going to do 2 half double crochets in that first stitch. And then into the next stitch, you're going to do 1 half double crochet, and you're going to repeat this all the way to the end of this row. So 1 half double crochet all the way down to the next corner. At the end of this edge, you're going to do 2 half double crochets in the last stitch. And then you're going to do the same thing on this other side with rows. You're going to do 1 half double crochet in each row, or about each row, until you reach the last corner. And then once you reach the last corner, so the corner that you started in, you're going to finish your last half double crochet and then insert your hook into that chain 2. So technically the first half double crochet, insert your hook and do a slip stitch. So insert your hooks, slip through, and then slip through that last stitch, and then you'll fasten off. Once you fasten off, you're going to want to weave in all of your ends, and you might have a lot of ends because you switched colors a lot. So for this, I like to use fabric glue just to make sure everything stays. So after I make knots and stuff and weave in the ends, I like to put fabric glue where I made those knots, just so nothing happens and it doesn't get undone. And that is the completed pumpkin spice baby blanket. If you made this, please tag me on Instagram. I would love to see it. I'll also have all the info down in the description below, and I'll have a written pattern as well. If you have any questions or anything, leave them down in the comments, and please leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!